So I believe I was inspired by my aunt, who's an actress whom I love so much. A lot of you know who she is. And I just looked up to her, and I just love the art form. And I also grew up watching a ton of film. A ton of film, lots of shows. Growing up in Brooklyn, went to Broadway shows, and just loved theater.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I thought maybe a couple of you have questions you would like to ask. Why don't we start raising our hands and seeing who has some questions first? Over here.
Where's over here?
There. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Lana. My name's Jennifer, and my question is, I love your character on Once Upon a Time. You're the only character when I started hating, and then I just loved at the end. It was awesome. So, my big question is, it's kind of a two-parter. Is there anything your character did that you thought was out of character you didn't agree with, or is there anything that you really pushed for your character to do that you got to do?
You know, I was really pleased with what the writers have written for Regina's arc overall. I think in hindsight, I would have loved to have seen the Evil Queen and Regina come back together again. And because then that's really fully accepting oneself. And so I would have loved that somehow. If the show continued, I bet there would have been a moment where they would have just morphed back into one person again. No, I, as the actress, I wanted to just kind of go through the, experience as Regina was going through it, so I didn't ever really want to know what was coming up. I liked experiencing everything firsthand, the way she was, so I didn't interfere. That's not my hat. Thank you. You're welcome.
Great question.
Thank you.
Let's go with the reserved, with the nice flower pattern. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Donna. I was just wondering.
Donna? Nice to meet you.
I was just wondering, what about the character when you were first reading about the Regina and the Evil Queen? What really brought you to want to audition for it and to actually play that role?
So I was originally auditioning for a different show for our casting director on Once Upon a Time, and it was for this, I don't even know if the show went anywhere, forgive me, it may have, I don't recall the name, but I was originally auditioning to play a trauma surgeon, and at the end of this 2-page monologue, the casting director looks at me and goes, I think I want you to read for the Evil Queen for a show called Once Upon a Time that I'm casting. And I was like, when? You're auditioning for a trauma surgeon, which is like medical. What did I do then? And she said, you are a good storyteller. And that's what I got from this 2-page monologue. And so she gave me the script and I took it home and read it and fell in love with it. And started working on it, and went in, auditioned, read 2 scenes once, and Adam and Eddie sat there and said, not in the room, but they told me later, they sat there and went, this is our queen. He said, you scared the crap out of us. But you never know for those actresses or any aspiring actors out there that sometimes you may read something and you're like, I don't know if this is right for me, but then the casting director or producers or director in the room will often say, oh my God, you're not right for this, but you're right for this other part. So for all those aspiring actors, go and get in those rooms. You never know what's going to come out of it.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hey Lana, my name is Nika, and I was just wondering, what was your favorite outfit that you wore as Regina, and what was your favorite outfit that you wore as the Evil Queen that you would steal if you could?
I have a lot of favorites. I would normally say I don't have any favorites, but that's because I have a lot of favorites. So I would say the rubber dress in the 3rd season, 2nd episode, I believe, when I step out of the carriage and I don't go any further than that because I couldn't walk. But I looked amazing. So that rubber dress that I sweat in, like you couldn't believe, in the middle of July, in rubber. So that one was pretty hot. And I love the red dress, that iconic red dress that's velvet with the lace. It's just so feminine and sexy and regal and evil. And for Regina, you know, I loved when Rebecca came on in season 3, and we were both wearing like these, it was like competing dresses, you know, and I think mine was purple and hers was obviously green. And I had this purple dress on that was just so beautiful, and I love that. I wish it still fit me, and I would have kept it, but it doesn't.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go over here.
Where? Oh, there. Hi!
My name is Rachel. Your character, Regina Mills, I feel bad because all we're talking about is Once Upon a Time, and you've done like so many things.
That's okay. It's okay.
Specifically, Regina Mills, she was just so brilliant, so multifaceted, and so much so that she actually inspired the villain in a fantasy series that I published. And so I was wondering, you know, that was my inspiration for my villain in this book, but I was wondering, did you have any inspirations or anyone that you looked to kind of help craft this character that you portray in The Evil Queen?
Yes, I found inspiration everywhere. So it wasn't just like, you know, I took a little bit from people I know. From movies I've seen, actresses that I admire. Ingrid Bergman, Glenn Close. Those two probably the most, and even even Ursula, like, you know, just the playfulness in her, and she was just so fun and audacious, and I just love that. So, but I pulled even Gary Oldman. I mean, honestly, like, when you're on a show for 7 years, you are constantly kind of looking for, you know, it can be anything. It could be a book I read that inspired me. It could be a movie I've seen. It could be a painting I saw, music I listened to. So I really pulled from all resources. Yeah. Stay open to everything, I guess.
Great question.
Thank you.
Over against this wall.
Hi.
One, your opening video could have been made a little better if Trina were in it.
I agree.
I was like,
wait, they started with the first thing I did and the last thing I've done, which is cool, because I haven't seen Spin City in a really long time.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
actually just watched
It's like my little baby face.
Little baby Lana.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we all miss Trina Decker. And I do, in more ways than you know. Yes.
My question was, do you say wash or wash?
I say wash.
Okay.
But I say Florida. And I say orange.
Easily my favorite question.
Love that question. That is definitely my favorite question.
Let's go here in the center, right here.
Oh, wait. Oh, here. Hi.
Do we have a mic for him?
I think they're all kind of lining
I
somewhere.
thought there was someone in the center here. I apologize. Thank you for running. I appreciate it.
Hi, Lana. My name is Alex.
Hi, Alex.
Speaking of Trina, I wanted to know if they rebooted that show.
Yes! I'm sorry. What's your question?
Would you reprise the role of Trina Decker?
Yes!
And then second thing, I know you've been doing a lot of martial arts, and I think we should start a campaign to get you to be Catwoman.
Yes!
Because I think you would kick ass.
I think I would too. I would definitely kick ass as Catwoman. Let's do it.
Let's do a tweet campaign. We'll get it going. We'll go over here.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, my name is Brooke.
Hi, Brooke.
So my question is if you have any advice for any aspiring directors or anyone in general that wants to go into the film industry.
Don't give up. Work really hard on your craft. Research, study, know what you're talking about, and stay open, and don't be afraid to fail. you're gonna fail a lot, and that's just part of what we do, you know, in life. You're gonna fail, but brush yourself off, pick yourself back up, and keep moving forward. And don't lose sight of your vision, and don't allow other people to, you know, mess with it too much, but learn how to be collaborative.
Please, Bethel.
Hi, I'm Poppy. So my question is it difficult to play two separate characters, like in season 6 of Once Upon a Time, where you had to play the Evil Queen and Regina?
That's a very good question. It's not that it was difficult because it was new. So there was a bit of a learning curve for me as an actress, just kind of not playing different parts because it's what we do, but playing different parts in the same day. So there was a little bit of like shifting gears, like, okay, now I'm going to 3rd gear. Oh God, I'm the Evil Queen, let's go to 6th. You know, so it was just a little bit of a learning curve for me, and then, you know, and then in season 6, I think I got it down. Playing opposite myself as both characters. Yeah, so I like a challenge though. I'm always up for one. So when I'm presented with something like that, I'm like, ooh, let's go for it. Yeah, thank you.
Well, you were your best acting person to bounce off of, so.
Yeah, I mean, playing opposite yourself is a bit strange because it's like you're a green screen. So that's interesting.
Go here.
Hi.
Hi, so me and my sister both have black belts in Taekwondo. What kind of martial arts do you study?
I study Kempo, karate. Yeah, and I'm training for my purple belt right now. I just learned how to break someone's arm. Don't mess with me, all right? Don't mess with me.
Have you ever broken boards?
I deeply apologize for getting.
I haven't broken boards. No, it's not something we do there. But I do grapple. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know if you want to like, roll around on the floor and try to suffocate one another. Just, you know, Saturday afternoon. Yes, hi.
Hi Lana, my name's Cassie.
Hi.
Hi, I kind of want to ask you some advice actually about your This Is Me kind of movement that you're doing.
I'm sorry?
Like your This Is Me movement that you're kind of doing. So actually, when you started posting kind of all your new natural This Is Me stuff.
Yes.
I actually just got out of a pretty toxic relationship. And actually, I keep going back. So my question is, what is your advice to kind of get back to your own self?
My advice is to be very patient and kind to yourself. Don't try to distract yourself from whatever you're feeling. Allow yourself to feel it. Allow yourself to grieve. Allow yourself to be in despair. Because it's there anyway. And so if you shove it under a rug or you try to distract yourself by going here and doing that and staying busy, you're just really kind of putting a Band-Aid on your emotions. And just know that you're not alone. This is life. And it's all part of it. And it's, you know, life is beautiful because of the challenges and because of all the joys and happiness as well. But you have to have the yin and yang, right? The light and the dark. So if you're in the dark, just be in the dark. And then also surround yourself around people that are very supportive and loving. That's really helpful.
Thank you.
Great question.
Hi, my name is Beth. Quick question. If you were to make any hero in Once Upon a Time a villain, who would you pick and why?
Ooh. Henry. Because Jared loves being evil. And when he got to do that in Neverland, when he played Evil Pan, he was like, oh my God, I've been wanting to do this for so long. And he was great. And then he did it in the Dream World. Yeah, and he was awesome. And that, was it season 6 yet?
7.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. I've done a lot of episodes. That's right. It was at the end, and he was just spectacular. And so I know, as you know, for Jared as the actor playing Henry, he wanted more of that. So because I love him with all that I am, I would want that for him. Yeah.
Lana, thank you for coming out, first of all. And
pleasure.
I was just wondering,
Oh, we're in
of
line.
all the projects that you worked on, what scene was the most emotionally challenging for you?
I would say, there's been two. One in Boomtown, when I was Teresa, and it was season 2, and I had to shoot someone for the first time. And that was really hard for me to do, because I didn't really shoot them, obviously, but I had to go into training and holding guns and stuff, and that really was not my thing. It freaked me out for personal reasons, because I had, I lost my father tragically, so that was really difficult for me. And then having to kind of do that on camera was also very hard. The second hardest scene that I ever did was in the underworld, when Regina sees her dad for the first time after she's murdered him. And that was really hard for me, because it was just so connected to my own personal life, that it was just like missing my dad and then having all this happen. It was just like, it's a lot. It was a lot for me. So it was like how art can sometimes mirror life, and that happens often. And it was hard. Those two scenes in my career were the most challenging. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Lana.
Hi.
So I guess my question is, you did a little bit of producing and as well as acting with Once Upon a Time, you did one episode and whatnot. During all of that, just all of it in general, what was your hardest challenge with the show?
Wearing the corsets for 14 hours. I'm serious. You think I'm playing? No, I'm serious. I couldn't breathe, and I learned the hard way not to eat a cheeseburger in a corset, because it wouldn't get past my sternum. It was just stuck. And it was painful to act with a large cheeseburger in your chest. So, corsets. Thank you. This is fun.
Let's go over here inside.
Hi, I'm Allison. In the past, you had told a story about a supernatural experience with this clock that hadn't worked for years and then suddenly started working again. If you remember that.
It wasn't a clock, was it? Where did you hear the story?
It was at a panel, I don't know which one.
Is it after my father passed away?
Yes.
Yeah. You want to hear it?
I wanted to, I guess we could hear it again,
wasn't a
for
clock.
those who don't know it, but I didn't.
It was a silly face that, okay, my grandfather, not my father's father, but my mother's father, had these silly toys around all the time. Because he was an eccentric kind of guy. And there were these old man faces that that had a string with a tie, and you would pull at the bottom, and he would laugh, and then water would squirt out and shoot you in the face. So my dad, because my mom and my dad were together, loved my grandfather's sense of humor, and he bought one of these for his side of the family, and it was in my grandmother's apartment upstairs. Now, it had been broken for so long, and this was maybe about 5 or 6 days after my father passed away, and I was 16, and everyone was just devastated. And my aunts asked me to walk upstairs with my cousin to go grab something for her, for my grandmother. And we went up there, my cousin and I went up the stairs, because in this house, we never went anywhere alone because we are convinced it's haunted, so we were terrified to go anywhere in that house. So we walk upstairs to the 3rd floor, and we go to get my grandmother's asthma spray or whatever it was, and we heard this thing laughing in the kitchen. And we were like, oh my God. And I freaked out and went like this as I was running, elbowed my cousin in the eye, black eye for weeks. We went flying down those stairs, flung open the door where the family was. We were like Ghostface white, like completely white. And they were like, what happened? We told them, and they were like, that was your dad. It's just, he had a very funny sense of humor. And I think it was just his way of saying, I'm here. So that's the story behind it. Is that not the question?
No, my question.
You're taking up a lot of time, honey.
I'm sorry, my question was if you had any other experiences.
Too many to get into. Yeah, way too many. But I'm glad you got to really hear that story, and now you know that it wasn't a clown or whatever you thought it was.
I don't know why I thought it was a clock.
A clock. There you are.
Let's go over here against the wall.
Hi.
Hi, Lana. I'm Michaela.
Hi, Michaela.
I got into Once Upon a Time, and it's a great show. My question is, what was your favorite thing about filming the show and whatnot, being around all those people?
My favorite moments were the moments that took place between action and cut, honestly. And I think it's because I love acting so much, and I love telling these stories, and I love working with my fellow actors. And in those moments, there's magic, something that happens in all of us. That's not, who we are, but it's parts of us in a character. So I love what is discovered in those moments. And I also love the camaraderie and the friendships that develop. Like Rebecca has become really like my sister. I love her so much. And Jared has really become like a son to me, whom I love with all my heart. So I love the camaraderie, the family bond, and just the fun that takes place, and all the challenges as well. You're welcome.
Hi, my name is Kaylina. It's really cool to talk to you.
Thank you.
What is your favorite personality to play?
Probably Broken. Just because then you have somewhere to go. When you're broken, and then you can only go up from there. So, and I feel like I've played a lot of controversial characters that, i.e. Trina Decker, Evil Queen Regina Mills, and also, someone help me, Windfall, Nina, what's her last name? I forgot, Nina. I love that they were all, they were all involved in something or some sort of lifestyle, or they felt a certain way, behaved a certain way, where everyone was like, oh my God, how could they? And everyone's filled with judgment. And then you look at these characters and then you go, but how did they get here? And then you see their struggle and journey, and then you feel like, oh my God, I can relate to that, and now they're compelling. And so I love playing controversial characters like Walter White's and all the, from Breaking Bad. Those are the guys that you're like become these heroes. You're like, what is he doing? He's like selling meth. But there's something you're like rooting for him, like Tony Soprano. You're like, he's killed so many people, but you're like, go Tony. You're like, so I just think that what it says is that, at the core, these people aren't really bad. And I feel like that's kind of how we have to look at people in life is you might meet someone on a bad day. I met someone yesterday who was just such a jerk to me. And I was like, I said, are you okay? And he goes, fine. I said, you just seem really disconnected. And he's like, looked at me and I went, God, why do I always have to say those things? Like it's just so forward and probably rude, but I didn't like how he was treating me. And then later, he said, I'm really sorry that I was disconnected. And I said, you know what? It's all good. We all have bad days. And I think it's really important not to judge people and to just fully know someone's story before you cast any judgment.
Great question.
What was your favorite character to play? And why?
Oh, I mean, there's so many, and I would probably say Trina Decker and Evil Queen Regina Mills, Old Hag, Ursula, well, the young Regina, because I played so many different versions of Regina. I really loved that so much, and I think it's rare that you get to do something like that in television unless you're on Alias or what's the other one with Tatiana Maslany? Yeah, thank you. I said something once and it ruined it. I'm not going to say that again. So, Orphan Black. Yes. So it's rare that you get those opportunities. So Trina Decker, because she's just so fun. It was just so fun, and it was set in the 70s, and that's cool. And then Evil Queen Regina for all the colors and all of what I was able to do with her.
Hi, Lana. My name is Kim. Hi, how are you doing? Sorry.
I'm amazing. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. I'm actually asking this question on behalf of my best friend Sue, who unfortunately wasn't able to be up here today. But what is one thing many people might find ordinary that you actually find extraordinary, and why?
What do I find ordinary? No, what do I find extraordinary that other people find ordinary? Oh my God, that's a great question. I mean, maybe it would be food. I don't know. That's not an easy question. I gotta think about that one. Because, what? Oh, I know, everyone's like, burgers. Everyone knows a burger is extraordinary. What's that, pork rinds? That's what I heard. Someone's craving pork rinds. I think it might be a person. I think it might be a person that is probably misunderstood by so many, but I probably find them extraordinary.
Over here.
Hi, I'm Kyla.
Hi, Kyla.
So what is your favorite scene you were in Once Upon a Time?
Like Rolodex, like going through it, like who, what scene. No, I would say one of my favorites is because, God, I'm so spiritual. It's because of the message, and I think it's the message between, really accepting oneself and self-love. And it's the scene in episode 14, season 6, with Regina and the Evil Queen in Mayor Mills' office. And they have this huge battle, and they tear the whole room apart, and they're about to kill each other. And then Regina just like wakes up, and she has this memory of herself as the Evil Queen, and remembering that she is her worst enemy. And she snaps out of it, and she realizes what she has to do, and she has to fully accept herself and her darkness. And I just think that that is so powerful. So that's why it's my favorite scene, is because of the message behind it.
Hi, my name is Sally, and I came all the way from San Antonio, Texas to come see you. And I also want to thank you and all the Evil Regals for giving me strength to go through my breast cancer illness. I'm 100% better now. Awesome. But my question is, if I love what Adam and Eddie wrote, but if you can rewrite something else with Daniel in it, what would you write?
I think a different form of closure, kind of like how how Regina was able to have closure with her dad and her mother, and
Robin.
I would have liked to have seen more closure between them. There was, actually in the underworld, there was a moment, it got cut out. I think because of time or whatever. But there was a scene written where Regina goes to visit Daniel's gravesite. And it's like this huge monologue that got cut. Not because of me, but because it was just too much, there was too much going on. But, quiet over there! But I would have liked to have seen some closure. You know, maybe she could have apologized and made amends for her mother for killing him. Thank God this is a TV show. Otherwise I'd be like in an insane asylum. Anyway, or in jail.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Hi.
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but speak up. Go for it.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh yeah.
Okay, great. First off, love you on Once Upon a Time, and Regina, probably the best character development I've seen in a while.
Thank you.
For someone who's also getting into acting, what would you say are some of the biggest pitfalls to avoid?
Don't show up not knowing your lines. I'm serious. And when I directed and people were coming in, I was like, really? Just, you know, really be prepared and set that time aside. Do not go out drinking the night before. No, I'm serious. Like, if this is something you want, I missed a lot of parties. I did. I missed a lot of birthday parties. I missed a lot of outings and friends doing this, that, whatever. And I was the nerd who was, you know, I had an audition on a Monday and I was in my apartment and, you know, focusing the entire weekend and dedicating myself to my craft and my work. So I think a lot of people think acting is just like, oh, just go in there and just get reading. No, it's not like that. And I think that if it's something you truly, truly want, then it has to be something you can't live and breathe without. And so give it everything you got. Feel good about it. When you walk out of that room, you're like, you know what? I may not be right for it. I may or may not get it, but I feel good about my work.
Hi, I'm Aubrey, and my question is, Once Upon a Time, did you prefer playing evil or good, and why?
I like both because I love the light and dark, the yin and yang. And I think as an actor on a television show, it was really fun to be able to do both. So, because TV, if you play one part forever, some actors are like, oh my God, I'm still talking, you know, I'm still doing this. It's like the character hasn't evolved as much. So I'm really lucky that I was able to be a part of a show where these characters had so much evolution. But I can say personally, as much, even though I was in so much pain, my feet were killing me, my neck was killing me, I couldn't eat cheeseburgers, I would say the Evil Queen. But I think Regina's more inspiring.
Hi, I'm Kelly, and my question is, what is your favorite Disney movie and why?
Dumbo, because I watched it with my dad. Clearly I miss my dad. So I watched that and we used to sing all the songs. I don't think it's racially appropriate anymore. So with that said, it's just very nostalgic and personal for me. I also love The Little Mermaid because I think I was like 13 or something when I saw it. I know. And I remember seeing it in the theater with my Aunt Candy and my cousin Bianca. And I really, why I loved it is because I love the ocean, because I'm a double Cancer and you can't pull me out of the water. And I'm pruned, you know, freezing purple, and they're like, we gotta go, and I'm like, I'm coming. So I always wanted to be a fish, and seriously, and I still do. It's my big dream. And and live in the ocean. And so I felt like I got to when I was watching. Although Splash and Mr. Peabody and the Mermaid are also good movies. Where? I'm
Over
so
here at the wall.
confused now. Hi.
Hi, Lana. I'm Charity. And my question is for you. You've played Regina and Evil Queen for like 7 years. That's a long time.
I did?
Well, yeah, right? It's a long time to play a character. And so I wondered from like your skill set, your toolbox, what you might have. Like it's mentally draining to come away from that after playing that character for a long time. So how have you, as an actress, been able to, kind of let go of her or grieve her or close that chapter? So
I'm still doing that. Yeah, that's a good question because, well, you asked kind of two, but I think that the last one is the one I'm going to answer because the toolbox one is just too many tools to go through. So we're just going to leave that in the garage. But I would say yes, playing someone for 7 years is very consuming in ways that I don't think I even understood. And I think it's a very strange thing for a lot of people who, look at actors and don't really consider that part of it because for actors who are also living in a different country, away from home, away from family, away from friends, telling this story, this woman's story, her life, her journey, there is very little room for self. And that's just, kind of the sacrifices that we make for our art. And I would do it again because I love what I do so much. But it's taking some time to kind of like, wait a minute. Like I think at times I would react as Regina Evil Queen to things. Or I was looking at my closet the other day going, when did oh my God, this is when I was Regina Evil Queen. Like clearly like a good half of my closet is inspired by her and I didn't even mean it, it's just, I'm in that headspace. So that's all going away. I'm reorganizing the closet and getting connected to me again. But yeah, I think it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. However, how lucky am I that I got to tell that story and be on something for 7 years, a show like that was so inspiring and inspired other people to sing and paint and cosplay and put on opera. It was like Once Upon a Opera. I was like, we've seen something like that, and I just think it's incredible what's come out of it. So I'm really grateful.
I think we have time for one more question.
Thank you. Hi, Lana. I'm Lace.
Hi, Lace.
I was wondering, once you realized that Swan Queen had such a big fandom, we like to think that we saw extra looks, maybe an up and down glance. Was that in our imagination, or did you really do that for us?
If you're asking if I changed my performance to please Swan Queen, no. I'm sorry, that's not the answer you want, but no, I did not. I always stay true to where Regina was and her story and what the writers intended. However, I love the Swan Queen fandom. I think all of you know that. I love all the ships. I don't discriminate and I don't favorite them. So.
All right, we have exactly 1 minute. So, I think we should give her the biggest round of applause.